Are you also annoyed by having to wait several seconds between pressing the button on your remote and switching channels on TV? Well, our solution provides fast channel switching in low delay live streaming and at the same time repairs packet loss as well. The problem is due to the GOP size trade-off. On the one hand, we wish to have a very long group of pictures. In low delay live streaming, this is often an IPPPP structure. This allows for the most efficient compression, as the encoder can exploit the interframe dependencies. However, what if new users switch channel and want to pick up the stream in the middle of the GOP? They have to wait for a new keyframe, which can take a while. Additionally, what if users have packet loss in the middle of the GOP and they lose a B frame? The next B frames do not have a proper reference frame then. To repair this, we need to wait for a new keyframe. Again, if the GOP is very long, this can take a while. So a long GOP is only good for staying on one channel and for steady connections. As an alternative, we can use a very short group of pictures, for example, only consisting of keyframes. When packet loss or channel switches occur, the next frame is a keyframe anyway, so there's no problem, it is solved quickly. However, this has bad compression, so there's a trade-off between a very long and a very short GOP. In practice, the GOP size is something in the middle, like a couple of seconds long. So then it takes a couple of seconds to switch channels or to repair packet loss, while we have a suboptimal compression. So instead of making the trade-off to choose a specific GOP size, why don't we use both? Our solution proposes to combine the advantages of a very long GOP with a very short GOP, in a normal and a companion stream respectively. The normal stream is sent to all users by default, while the companion stream is only used when necessary. When packet loss or channel switches occur, a keyframe from the companion stream is inserted in the normal stream as a quick fix. This is only done for the user that needs it. The other steady-state users are not impacted by this keyframe insertion. The next B frame now has a companion stream keyframe as a reference. And this keyframe is not a perfect reference though. Small drift errors may occur. However, it is much better than no reference. Also note that the next companion stream keyframes are not transmitted until they are needed again. There are a few practical requirements to enable keyframe insertion in H.264 HEVC, H.265 HEVC, and H.266 VVC. The first one is that temporal motion vector prediction should be disabled. Second, the packet sets may need to be repeated after keyframe insertion. And third, the frame number of a keyframe should be 0 in some standards, and thus the companion stream keyframes should be synchronized with the normal stream. In practice, this restriction can be relaxed because many decoders are able to reduce the right reference frame numbering anyway. So what about the results? This graph shows a decrease in quality over time for all tested video sequences. And in this scenario, a keyframe is inserted at frame number 9. Then, the following P frames contain drift errors that may increase over time. However, we notice that the drift is imperceptible in most sequences. In one rare worst case though, the drift was perceptible as what we call zebra pattern artifacts. It should be noted, however, that this perceptible quality decrease only occurs when there is no new keyframe in the normal stream for multiple seconds. We found that these zebra pattern artifacts are frequency components that are overshot in the half-bell interpolation filter of H.264 HEVC, which is only a problem when they are applied repeatedly. When we modified the interpolation coefficients such that the amplitude is never above 1, these perceptible artifacts did not occur anymore. Alternatively, simply disabling sub-bell motion estimation also fixed these perceptible drift errors. So in conclusion, our solution inserts a keyframe from the companion stream in a compression-efficient normal stream. As such, we enable fast channel switching and packet loss repair. All of this without impacting the performance of other users. So, the best of both worlds. We found that the resulting drift errors are generally imperceptible, except for in a rare worst case. We could fix this by modifying or disabling the sub-bell interpolation, although future work should look into alternative fixes that are less disrupting.